In this video, we will cover controlling family geometry visibility and controlling family geometry graphic display. When you are creating families, you can control how they appear in various views of your project. For example, in this Level 1 view, the detail level is currently set to medium. When you change this to fine, you will notice that some of the components update. And when you change the detail level to coarse, you can see additional changes. For example, the duplex receptacle appears in symbolic form at the coarse and medium levels of detail, but at the fine level of detail, you can see the actual geometry. I'll change the detail level back to medium and then select the duplex receptacle. Click Edit Family in the contextual ribbon to open the family in the Family Editor. When the family opens, you can see an extrusion and the receptacle geometry appears on the extrusion. So first off, this is a face-based family, and we can tell that because of the extrusion. And then when we open the reference level floor plan view and zoom in, we can see the duplex symbol. Now, this can be a little tricky because right now in the floor plan view we're looking at the face of the extrusion. But let's talk through some of this. To begin, select one of the geometric forms of the extrusion and then pay attention to the Visibility Settings tool on the contextual ribbon. When you click Visibility Settings, this opens the Family Element Visibility Settings dialog. For geometry, you can control the view-specific display as well as the detail levels that the geometry will appear in. So, right now, this geometric form will appear in both plan and reflected ceiling plan views and left and right views, but will not appear in front or back views. And it will also appear at each of the three detail levels. And I'll click OK, and then next I'll select the symbol and click Visibility Settings again. For the symbol, you can see that there's a symbolic element visibility control, but as it says there, symbolic elements are view direction specific, so they only show in views that are parallel to the creation view. And then this symbol is set to show at just the coarse and medium levels of detail. It will not appear at the fine level of detail, which we saw. But what can be a little bit confusing about some components that use symbols is that right now we're in the reference level floor plan view and we see the symbol and the geometry also appears here, but this is actually a front and back view for the actual geometry itself. And so we can tell that because we're viewing the face of the extrusion, which back in our project, that is the wall. So it's placed on the wall face, and so here it's like we're viewing the wall face, but we're in the reference level view, and so that's where the symbol is placed. And so that's why when we take a look at the visibility settings, it's set to not display in front and back views, which is technically our level 1 floor plan view in the project. And so that can be a little bit confusing, but that's how it works when you're dealing with face-based families. So once again, the symbol appears at the coarse and medium levels of detail, and then if I switch to the front elevation view and zoom in, you can see what appears in the plan view at the fine level of detail. And we actually have symbolic lines here, and once again you can see that they appear at fine and not at coarse and medium. And so that's what we saw in the project. And so once again, right now I'm in the front elevation view, which corresponds to our floor plan view in the project. And so it may take a little bit of experimenting and taking a closer look at these families so that you can get a better feel for how that works. Next, I'm going to switch back to the project And then I'm going to select the transformer and click Edit Family. Now we're going to look at how we can create a clearance zone and have it appear differently than the transformer itself. And we can do that by creating a subcategory for the family geometry. So I'll create a clearance zone on the side where we have the electrical connection. And I will start by creating a reference plane. And then I will create an extrusion. So I'm going to skip adding the dimension and a parameter for this example. And we'll go ahead and lock these. And then I'll click Finish Edit Mode. And then open the front elevation view. And we'll match the height of the transformer. And then I'll open a 3D view. So now we have a clearance zone, but it's going to appear exactly like the transformer, which is not what we want to, that's not the functionality we want to have. And so what we want is it to appear differently. In this case, we'll have it appear red with a dashed line. And so on the Manage ribbon, in the Settings panel, click Object Styles, and here we can create a new subcategory. In the Modify Subcategories area, I'll click New, and I'll name this Clearance Zone, and then click OK. And now we can control the line weight, line color, line pattern, and material. So I'll change the color to red, and we'll select a dashed line. And if we wanted to continue on, we could create a material that is transparent, and that would help us as well. I'll click OK, and then I will select the form, and you can see that there is a subcategory parameter, and I will assign it the clearance zone subcategory. And when I do, you can see that that clearance zone geometry updates. One more thing I'll point out is that there is also a visible parameter, and we can associate that to a family parameter. So I'll click Family Types and create a new parameter called Clearance Zone Visibility, or I'll call it Clearance Zone Visible, and we'll make it an instance parameter. And the type of parameter needs to be yes, no, and I'll have it appear under Visibility, and then I'll click OK, and we'll leave it set to be visible by default, and I'll click OK. And then when I select the clearance zone geometry, I can click Associate Family Parameter next to Visible, and we'll select Clearance Zone Visible and click OK. And now I'll load it back into the project, and we'll take a look at what happens. I'll overwrite the existing version. And now we have our clearance zone, and so it doesn't appear dashed because it's smaller. But if I were to change the scale, maybe I went in the wrong direction. There we go. Now you can see the dashed line. And if I select the transformer and scroll down to the visibility section, I can control the visibility of that as well. So, once again, you can control whether components are visible, and then you can control their graphic display as well.